Hi, welcome to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the Blushing Shells Cowl by Diane Moyer. This is such a super cute cowl. I remember when I was flipping through the Red Heart website the other day, I was looking for various patterns that really just struck my fancy, that caught my eye. And this is one of those patterns that I saw and I was like, wow, what is that? How do you do that stitch? Oh, that's the new yarn that's out by Red Heart. How does that work up? And so I figured, why not do a video for it and show you guys how to make this wonderful little cowl? I'm going to show you what you need to get started before we begin, okay? The first thing you're going to need to do is download the pattern over at redheart.com. I'm going to put a link to it right down there in the video notes. Then you're going to want to grab yourself some Boutique Infinity yarn. It's a brand new yarn put out by Red Heart. This particular colorway is called Blossom. The pattern requires you to have a size M crochet hook. I used an L crochet hook and it seemed to work out pretty nice that way too. So really just get a crochet hook that works well for the gauge given in the pattern. You're also going to need a good pair of scissors, and I'm going to use some stitch markers just to show you where some stitches are here on camera, so you have a point of reference, but they are not written as a necessary tool in the pattern. Once you have all your materials, join me back here and I'm going to get you started on the very first row of this particular cowl. Okay, you have all your materials. Let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and grab your yarn and let's begin with a slip knot. Once you have a slip knot, put it onto your hook and we're going to begin by chaining 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once you have those 6 stitches, the instructions say that you're going to do a double crochet in the 3rd chain from hook. You never count the loop that's on your hook. Yarn over your hook, go into the 3rd chain from hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. We've just completed a double crochet. Now this is what's interesting about this pattern is typically from this point on you would continue on working back here and this would be your foundation chain. Well, what Diane's done is she is creating our foundation chain along this way, but by putting these double crochets right here worked into the 3rd chain from this hook or from the hook right here, we are creating a base that we're going to be working around when we work our shells. I'm going to show you more how to do that in just a second. But I wanted to point out that this is a little bit awkward. It's a little bit different from how you would normally start a basic pattern. So follow along with me. Trust me, it's still okay. You're still good. So we've done 6. We've done a double crochet in the 3rd chain from hook. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once again, we're going to put a double crochet in the 3rd chain from hook, and you're going to see there is a pattern going on here because that is where in the pattern it says that there's an asterisk and then it says repeat these instructions I think 4 times more. So if I put this down right here, you can see we began with our chain 6, it's right there, and then we did a double crochet. And then we did chain 10, it's all the way here, and then we did a double crochet. What we've done is we've placed these chain 2s that we've skipped when we worked our double crochet. They are parallel or they are horizontal to the double crochet here. See how the chain 2s are down here and our double crochets are up there. What's going to happen is we're going to work our shell stitches right around those double crochets. Let me show you what I mean. I already did one up and I put markers in it to be able to show you what exactly it is you're doing. This is the full repeat of the pattern. So these are all 5 of the double crochets are completed. Let's put this down here where it's facing correctly. And what I've done is I've taken stitch markers and I've placed them in the chain 2 section. Now, just in case you're confused, the chain 2, remember that's where we skip 2 chains and we put a double into the 3rd chain. So those chain 2s are the 2 skip chains that we had. So that's what I have here with these marked stitches. The reason I wanted to mark them in this way is I wanted you to be able to see what this beginning chain resembles. So once the whole chain is done, it's almost as if, oop, that yarn wants to snag onto my nail. It's almost as if the chain is interrupted with this double crochet and we have some chains down here. Now the reason Diane most likely did that is because as we're working with this bulky yarn and working 9 double crochets around this double crochet right here in this chain 2 space, we're gonna do that here in just a second, it creates a lot of extra bulk. So by beginning the foundation chain in this manner, it actually makes the cowl lay nice and flat and it gives it a really good look. So this is where you are, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to take this little marker out just because it was holding my last loop. So once you have repeated that section, the chain 10 and double crochet in the 3rd chain from hook 4 more times, you end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets and 1, 2, 3, 4 sections of chains between them, and then 3 chains, and then we're getting ready to do chains over here. So this is where we're going to get started. So I am beginning on row 2, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to do a single crochet in the 2nd chain from hook. So I do not count the one on the hook, skip, and do one there. So I do a single crochet right there. Now already it starts to resemble kind of like what we've been doing, right? Because we just did some more chains. But here's where it's going to make sense why we did all of this kind of different sort of foundation. We are going to skip all of these stitches, and over here in this chain 2 space, so in this big hole right there, see that big hole? We're going to do a shell. Now remember, in previous videos I've told you that shell stitches are not a standard. Every pattern has their own version of whatever the shell is. For this particular pattern, a shell consists of 9 double crochets. So we're going to do 9 double crochets into this one spot. 2, 3, and you'll notice I'm going into the big space. I'm not going into any actual stitch. So what's going to be lovely here is as these stitches become crowded in here, I can just shove them along because they are going around this double crochet. We are encasing the double crochet. So it's no longer going to be there, and we're going to have this nice base down here. Now another reason this nice base down here is useful is when we go to seam up the cowl, it will be easier to seam into those stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need 2 more. 8, 9. Now, what it says in the pattern is that we're going to skip 3 chains. So skip 1, 2, 3, and we're going to single crochet in the next chain. And then we skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and we go ahead and we put 9 shells into this space as well. Now, once again, I've gone ahead and I've done that, so I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to pull in the one I have completed so far. And here you can see we have our 9 shells, single crochet, 9 shells, single crochet, 9, single, 9, single, 9. 9 doubles, I should say. We have 5 total shells. So this is the base of the cowl. This is how it gets started. And you can see that because these 9 shells are all into that one space, the natural arc of the shell really fills in the space between, and so you get a very nice flat fabric. And see how these chain 2s now, they kind of jump up in the place of where that double crochet was, and it looks like you have a nice even foundation chain. Isn't that cool? I think that is just super cool. I'm gonna carry on here and we're gonna work on to row 3, and silly me, I did not leave myself with any yarn attached, so I'm gonna go ahead and I am going to undo this last one I did here, and I'm going to just join in a new skein of yarn. You won't have to do this if you didn't cut your yarn. You will just continue on just like you normally have. Let's go ahead and undo this one here I started with. See how easy this is? And we're just going to go ahead and fix this. So now I have some yarn to work with. Perfect. So we are on to row 3, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to begin with the chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this chain 4 is going to count as a double crochet and a chain 1, which will be the exact same thing we will end with at this end. We're going to begin with a double crochet and chain 1. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to zoom in. I am going to double crochet into this first single crochet right there. And so we have this funny looking thing going on right there. That's okay. That's what we want. We're going to go ahead and we're going to chain 2. Then the instructions say we want to put a single crochet in the center double crochet of this shell. So to do that, we know that there are 9 double crochets, so the center one would be the 5th. So we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in the 5th one here, we're going to put a single crochet. Now, once you put that single crochet there, can you see how it pulls this one here back up into place, and it makes it so that it looks lovely? So it's no longer just kind of wonky out there. See, I told you to trust me. I told you it would be okay. You go ahead and you chain 2, and now we're going to do a V-stitch into this single crochet down here. Now, once again, V-stitches are not something that are a standard stitch, so you want to look at what the V-stitch is for this pattern. Coincidentally, it happens to be a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So that's what I've done. I've done all of that into that one single crochet. Double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to skip all of these and put a single crochet in the center one. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th one, I'm going to put a double crochet, or a single crochet, I apologize, and a chain 2, so on and so forth. So once I chain 2, I'm over here to the next single, and I'm going to do my V-stitch. So that's the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. You got that so far? So that's what we've got so far. Now I've went ahead and I've completed it past this section. So I'm going to move this aside and pull in so you can see exactly what is going on. And right here, once again, we can see we have our nice foundation chain, our 5 shells, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have my beginning double crochet, chain 1, double. So that was my chain 4, double crochet. Chain 2, single, chain 2, V-stitch, 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 chain 2, single, chain 2, and at the very end here, the very last stitch, you can see it's a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, which, remember I said that's how we began. So when we did the chain 4, it counted as a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Perfect, right? All right, so now we're going to go on and we are moving on to row 4. So for row 4, we'll begin with the chain 3. And then I like to chain 3 and then turn. You can turn and chain 3. Either way, it doesn't really make a difference. You just do what works best for you. So you begin with the chain 3, and we're going to put 4 double crochets into this chain 1 space. Now what we're doing here is our first chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet, and we're doing 4 more double crochets into the chain 1 space. So essentially we're making half of a shell, which is perfect because this pattern has offset shells. So in order to have them offset, here on the sides, they have to be half shells, correct? So there'll be a half shell here at the beginning, and we'll end with the half shell. So we've just done 4 double crochets. I come over here to this single crochet, so I skip all of this, and I go ahead and I put a single crochet into that single, and then I skip all of the rest again. So I'm skipping all of this going on. I'm coming over here to this chain 2 of the V-stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put 9 double crochets to complete a shell. So now I'm back to the full shells. So what's really great here is you can make a note, a mental note, that every time you're on the right side of your fabric, you're doing a shell stitch, because that is the right side of your fabric. And what I mean by right side is that's the public side. That's the side that theoretically is the one that is the prettier of the two and is supposed to be visible to the public. It's the right side versus the wrong side. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I need 1 more. So once I have that, I go ahead, I skip all these stitches over here to the single crochet, and I do a single, and then I do the same thing. I'm here at the next V-stitch, and into this big space right there, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do 9 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is the last one, 9. So one thing you'll notice here is that by using a larger hook with this bulky yarn, I'm making sure that my stitches are not super tight. They have a very nice uniform to them, and they have a nice little loftiness, which is great with this yarn because it has a natural loftiness to it. It is a filament like filled into a mesh surrounding sort of thing. I gotta turn on my little laptop there. It was buzzing out on me. And so it has a really soft feel and subtle color changes. You'll notice on your pattern that the yarn used in the pattern, which was Blossom, has a very subtle color change from darker to lighter. Even on here in the sample, you can see that it's starting to do that. So it's a very subtle color change, and it's a beautiful yarn. It's acrylic, polyester, wool, and nylon, and it's really super soft. I can't wait to wear this. But what if you don't have this yarn? What if you wanted to try doing this with a different yarn? You absolutely can do that, but you're going to want to change your hook size. I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to set all this aside. I went ahead and I grabbed some Boutique Treasures yarn. Do you guys ever use Boutique Treasures? I love this yarn. It's one of my favorite yarns out there by Red Heart. It has so many wonderful color options, and the color changes within the yarn. I think it's just lovely. And so I thought, you know what if I used a color changing yarn and has, you know, it's a bulky yarn. It's similar in weight. It's one less. Boutique Infinity is a number 5 and Treasures is a number 4. And I went ahead and I dropped down to an eye hook. So it's a 5.5 millimeter. And I did the same pattern with the exception that I only did 3 shells instead of 5 across. And then I continued on in the same pattern working up. And you can see it's beautiful. It's so pretty. So if you don't have Boutique Infinity, but maybe you have Treasures, or maybe you have Boutique Unforgettable, or one of the other yarns, or even the brand new Boutique Twilight, I think you could absolutely use this pattern. You're just going to want to adjust your hook size to get a stitch pattern or a stitch gauge that works well, that's not super tight, that still has a lot of loftiness. One of the things I really love about this is that with just the 3 shells, it's almost as if it's the perfect distance with the shells and the color changes. So it looks like each shell row is a completely different colored yarn. Isn't that cool? I just thought this was really pretty. I also worked this up so that way you can see in a larger scale what is going on. So right here, let's pull it down this way. This here, you can see this is a half shell, a shell, a shell, and a half shell. So this is the row that we just finished, that I just finished showing you. And so we would carry on this row and we would begin row 5. So I'm going to show you how to do row 5, but I'm going to show you how to do it on this particular project. So it's the same row, you guys. I'm still dealing with the same stitches. I'm just doing a different row repeat, so it's just smaller. But you're going to know exactly what you're doing when we do this. All right. See, I'm trying to show you all the tricks. So I'm getting ready to do row 5. I'm at the very end of row 4, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 1. Now, as always, I like to chain 1 and then turn. Now I'm going to put a single crochet in the very first double crochet I've completed there, and I'm going to chain 2. Now I'm going to do a V-stitch over here into this single crochet. Can you kind of see how this is working out? Just as the shells are offset between the sections that you do them, because they are offset from each other, so is this section. So now we've put a single crochet at the top of that half shell, chain 2, we've done a V-stitch, so we're going to chain 2, and we're over here at this shell. So now we're going to go and put a single crochet in the middle double crochet of the V-stitch, which is the 5th one in, chain 2, and we're going to do a V-stitch down here. So it's a double crochet, chain 2. Let's do this. And then double crochet, chain 2. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's the 5th one. I'm going to put a single crochet, chain 2, V-stitch down here, chain 2, and then finish that up with my double, and then chain 2, and I finish with a single crochet into the 3rd chain of my turning chain at the end of the row. So when I set this down, you can see I have started to set myself up for my next row of shells. So this actually resembles my very first row I did. So on my very first row, you know, I had my chain 2s and my doubles. So right here, my chain 2s actually kind of represent the base or my double crochets. And then right here, that's where I'm going to build my shells. So I'm building my shells there. Does that make sense? So on row 6, it's just like this row with the exception of we're not working into the foundation chain, we're working into these sections. Let me show you how to do that. So for row 6, we go ahead and we do a chain 1. And I'm going to turn my work. We're going to single crochet into the first single crochet. And then I'm going to put my shell into this chain 2 space. You see that? The chain 2 space of the V-stitch, just like we did before, only now it's just in a slightly different place because it's offset from the other ones. So I carry on and I go ahead and I do my 9 double crochets. Whoops. Get going along and my hook falls out on me. I hate that when that happens. Does that happen to you guys every now and again? It's hard to deal with. I think I'm just about at 9. Let me check here. So I have 1, 2, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I have one more. 9. All right. You see how that would work up? It's pretty easy. So you just carry on down the row, and then you, for this full pattern, you would repeat rows 3 through 9, or not 9, 3 through 6, sorry, till the designated length that's written in the pattern. And then you would work rows 3 through 5 once more. Now, why would it be that you only work through row 5? And I'm going to show you why. Let's rip out everything that I just did and get back to the row 5. All right. So let's get back to right here. Okay, so I've ripped back to row 5. You can see right here I finished on row 5. And then the pattern says that you want to fasten off, but you want to make sure you leave a really long tail, okay? The reason you want to do that is when you fasten off and leave your long tail, you're going to use your tail for seaming. So what's going to happen is you're going to take your pattern and you're going to fold it in half like this, and you're going to use your tail to seam this last edge to the first edge. And by doing that, it will look as if these stitches are worked into that section, and it will close up and it will be beautiful. So by leaving a long tail and using that to seam these stitches to these stitches, you will be able to have a virtually, not virtually, you will be able to have a cowl with even fewer ends to weave in because it's already attached and it'll be a little bit more secure. All right, so now you know how to make the blushing Shells Cowl. I hope you will go out and grab yourself some wonderful yarn and make one of these for yourself. Do go ahead and try the Boutique Infinity yarn. It's really super soft and really pretty. I know that it is available over at redheart.com. Right where you downloaded that pattern, right underneath there, you can find a link to all the materials you'll need for this particular pattern. So you'll find the yarn right there. If you don't want to try the Boutique Infinity, I highly recommend the Boutique Treasures and maybe dropping your hook size down to an I. You could even go one size larger if you wanted to. It's really super pretty. And then once again, I only did 3 shells across. So you would still begin with your chain 6 and carry on. It's just instead of repeating 4 times, you would repeat 2 times. And I guess that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and you will come back for more. As my kids say, please smash that like button. I'm Marley Bird for redheart.com, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.